Do you guys remember? Because I don't. It's no knock to him. I don't remember any of the guys. Do you remember Damien on 102.5?
I do. I have one story about that. What?
Of course you do. You're so weird. You remember everything. Like what? What?
I was always in the media. I wanted to work in radio. I was like, I'll go anywhere.
I probably heard D-Lo on 102.5, but yeah, I just didn't. I don't.
Is it okay if I tell my D-Lo story, or is that not allowed at this point in time? He may remember it. I mean, I don't think I didn't meet him that day, but I remember Mike Bibby was at Arden Fair Mall. This was like
the Jordan party.
That's what it was. I was like 13 years old, 13 years old. And I went out there hoping to meet Mike Bibby, but I did not meet Mike Bibby. But I remember Damien was emceeing that event.
Oh,
Nice.
Real talk. That was, I think I told this story before, and that was my first ever event. That was my first event as a host.
Dude, that crowd was wild. I mean, that was obviously the heyday.
It was a Jordan truck.
I mean, it was.
They had trucks that were filled with Jordan like sneakers, and Mike Bibby, obviously a Jordan athlete. They fitted us with they gave us brand new. It was the first time I had ever gotten like Jordan gear because I was still very financially challenged at the time. So they gave me new Jordans. So I was like, yo, this is the greatest job I've ever had. And yeah, I hosted the event with Mike Bibby. That's dope. I had no idea. That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, Deuce and I have been friends for decades.
Long time. Back when I was a kid.
Cool.
Yeah. Were you wearing, or do you remember Bibby wearing that? I think it was in 2002 when him and Weber were on Jay Leno's show, and he was wearing that like blue.
Yep.
Turquoise.
Yeah.
What color? I'm bad at colors.
No, it was like a sky blue.
Yeah, whatever it was. See, I'm bad with colors. It was awful, but just a different time.
So okay, fun story here. The outfit they gave us was that one, except it was white and blue.
And it's like velvet or something. What?
Yeah,
is it like a
velour? It's like velour.
Yeah, the velour. That had to be a 3X because that's.
Oh God, man, you already know. You already know. Early 2000s, walking around, everything was way too big.
Do you think that's going to come back at some point? Like,
God, no.
You don't think
so?
What?
They're not to that degree. They're trying to bring back because for the last 5-6 years, it got slim. Like everything got real slim.
Yeah, yeah.
They're trying to bring back like bigger pants and kind of baggier, like the Travis Scotts and stuff like that. I don't think I'm riding that wave again. But I don't think it'll ever come back like State Property, Dipset, Mike Bibby. Like it's never going to be that again. But they're trying to loosen them up a little bit nowadays.
Women's fashion, they're kind of doing that same thing, right? With the 90s grunge kind of baggier look in the pants and the jeans. But I just like the high-waisted because it just holds in like the whole stomach and everything. My waist is this small, I swear.
Well, can we give proper due to your partner on television, your podcast partner, your partner on television, the fashion god, Matt Barnes, who... For those who noticed during the wide shot, y'all saw where Matt Barnes' pants stopped.
Yeah.
Right above the ankle. Real one show ankles, man. Real one show ankles.
I have no problem showing Achilles.
Real ones. No. By the way, y'all saw that interaction with Deuce and Mo a second ago. You remember when I said at the beginning of the show that I was listening to the podcast and had to go back and watch it? That was the interaction on last night's podcast right there. When Deuce went on about the fourth quarter and De'Aaron Fox and Morgan goes, well, that's the whole show. Thanks for tuning in. I was like, I have to see this.
He just keeps going sometimes. He just keeps going. And you know what? You know what's great? A good teammate calls them out. And that's what I do, Damien. I call them out.
Like I said last night, I was Buddy Hield in the third. I was cooking. Let me get my shots up. Just let me give me the ball to get out of my way.
Missing or making, he was taking.
I was taking them.
That's good stuff. Proper introductions. Deuce and Mo, the Deuce and Mo podcast with us here. Of course, Morgan Reagan, also of NBC Sports California. Been so much fun watching you guys on television. And I learned last night, it's a lot more fun watching you when the Kings win. And the Kings got the win last night. And just there's so many places to begin. Let's start with where Kenny and I left off a few moments ago. A lot of people are ready to jump off a cliff with De'Aaron Fox.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Where are you guys at with Number 5.
Here's mine. Go jump because we don't need you anyway. Because stop.
Let's go. Yes.
It's so dramatic where I am totally fine with fans being fans, but then when you're that extreme, jump off the cliff, because if you can't handle the hard times and the bad times, then why do you get to enjoy the good times with him? And when I mean that, though, you guys, he's human. And I try explaining this without sounding like I am protecting or justifying anything. But I think at times we think that these athletes at every level, whether you are LeBron James or you are, Harrison Barnes, just whatever level of player you are.
Same category this year.
Yeah, this year, right? But it just doesn't, people's expectations are like these guys are robots, and that every single game, every single night, it has to be this good game, this solid game. Even if the stat line doesn't read it, like they have to see it. And it doesn't have to be that. And it's not going to be that. That's not realistic. But the greatest players have more consistent nights. And I think everyone's expectations of De'Aaron is that they want him to be great. And we all do. And I still think he can be, but he's just because we're 3 games in doesn't mean that he can't find that this season at some time.
I mean, like, tap the brakes. If this was a 4-game stretch in January and nobody's talking about it, it's because it's the start of the season.
Yes.
It's magnified. And I get it. Like, big time expectations when you're a max guy. And I think everyone here believes he has the capability of being an all-star. He's not playing at that level. He's had slow starts in the past. Let's just see. I think part of it too, and again, he's not on the injury report, but he's nicked up. I don't know why they wouldn't put him on the injury report if he is nicked up. Maybe he doesn't want to be on there. I just don't feel like he's 100% right now. But the perspective I have is they're 2-2 against some really tough competition when De'Aaron Fox has not really had a good game yet. And that tells me a lot. It wasn't pretty last night, but they figured out a way to win, and they're going to need him big time coming up for sure. But like, I'm not worried about it. Like the whole, we got to trade Fox now. It's time to trade him for Simmons. I'm like, what are we doing here? Last week you didn't want to trade Buddy and Bagley for him. Now you want to trade De'Aaron Fox for him? What are we doing?
Now I am. I'm definitely not jumping. I'm definitely not saying something's wrong with him or anything like that. Not that De'Aaron Fox is here. He's here to stay. He's not going anywhere. All right. However, and I think he'll be fine. Yeah. I think he will be fine. However, I'm of the camp where I do think extremely highly of De'Aaron Fox and his capabilities. And with that comes a certain level of expectations. And he's playing below expectations. And
for sure,
I got on him on Monday because I thought with better play from him, that could have been the catalyst to get one of those wins over the weekend. Last night, I thought he played a little better. He had some tough breaks as far as like shots going in and out and things of that nature. And I need him, and I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I need him to be better at the line.
Yeah, that's the one that kills me.
Yeah, there's improvement. But there's almost a certain level of, number one, if I'm De'Aaron Fox, and it seems like he takes it this way, he would feel the way a lot of these guys, not the fact that he needs to be traded, but like, yo, I need to step up. Like, I need to play better. I'm not playing good. I think he has that type of mentality to him. And then also, this is almost in a way a compliment. I don't look at you as no 18-point per game scorer. And somebody that I think you are capable of putting up 25 a night if you lock in and you play better. And I say it all the time, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Like, when you have those type of expectations, when you still play good for a normal guy, that's not good enough for where people have expectations for you. So
Kenny, that's a completely reasonable take. Like, there's nothing wrong with anything you just said there, in my opinion. I just think there's so many people like, oh, he's just not the guy. It's like, okay, he's off to a rough start. There's no denying it. He's got to play better, and he's definitely got to be playing better if this team has any chance of being a legit playoff team. But like, I'm not hitting the panic button. I'm not worried about it quite yet. Let's give us some time. Like, look around the league right now. There's a lot of guys off to weird starts. Dame off to a weird start. You got
anyone see Chris Paul's game last night?
I mean, Chris Paul. I mean, I was thinking about, God, can you imagine a Phoenix station today talking about the Suns? They're probably going, man, I mean, maybe his tank is empty now, and they gave him all that money. He's 37. So yeah, I mean,
that would be the discussion.
Yeah. So with Fox, no, I'm not to the point. Now there's some aspects of his game that I need to see get better. The free throw shooting you mentioned for sure. I'd like the 3-point numbers to be better. I don't know him taking as much. But Kenny, I'm with you. He showed some more flashes last night. Even at the end of the game, that play with like 3 seconds left where they got it to Barnes and they got Fox on the run. That was a great play design and great execution by Fox. Jazz have a foul to give, and then of course Barnes hits a game winner. But
Jazz,
what'd I say?
Jazz have a foul.
Jazz, whatever the team they played last.
They had a foul to give too, Morgan.
Yes,
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
the Suns had a foul to give.
Who did they play last night? The Suns. Yeah, sorry, I was up till 2:30 last night and up at like 7. So yeah, not. You
had to take the dogs out, didn't you?
Yeah,
you had to take the dogs out. Yeah,
dogs
I
don't
know.
Sleep in. Yeah.
They don't. They never do. They don't care if you go to bed at 2:30 or 6:55. Like if they get up at 7, you're up at 7. That's just the way it is. By the way, De'Aaron had 9 assists last night. It's not like the dude was invisible,
right?
Yeah, he wasn't invisible. Like he was still doing other things. And what was his turnovers last night? It was better.
Yeah, it was 2. It's just 2 turnovers.
Okay, yeah, and like that's better. You have the ball in your hands a lot, so you made adjustments even there, taking care of the basketball, being aware of that, understanding what that does for the entire squad. I just think he has such a unique skill set with just his speed alone that anybody that wants to give up on that, it's bizarre. It's strange to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's my question. If he is banged up, and we saw the shoulder wrapped up in that game against Utah, like, is this the time now to maybe sit him for a couple of games? Just get why let this linger on? You have depth at that position. You have a ton of guards. And I know like you're obviously not going to be as good without him. But if he needs a little rest,
and another thing, guys, sorry, but another thing too.
Thanks for answering my question.
Yeah. Well, no, because it's about that. I'm gonna kill this guy.
Yeah, it is.
But another thing about him being banged up in the injury, I think because he depends on his athleticism, his speed, and those skills in his game, that when he does get nicked up, banged up, whatever it is that's wrong with his body, it affects his entire game. So that's where we just need to see him adjust to when he does get injured. Okay, what can I be great at when I'm feeling a little banged up in my shoulder so I can't go to the rack the same and finish at the rim like I was doing? What can I do differently on the defensive end if that's the case? And sometimes even on the defensive end, when that becomes a shoulder, taking a hard screen from a big, like that's just going to mess with you even more.
Yeah. And Damian, just real quick, want to follow up on that. And what I think the biggest issue for De'Aaron Fox seems to be right now when you talk about his numbers and impact is he goes 7 for 20 last night. Yeah, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. That's a tough look, but 7 for 20, that's not an unusual. I was telling Damian, that's not an unusual stat line for a Dame, for a Steph Curry, for a Kyrie, for these guys. Like they're not always just lights out. Right. The difference is, number one, they're able to get 1 or 2 threes, but getting to the foul line and getting 6, 7 points at the foul line gets them from 18 to 25. You know what I mean? And that's where he's got to be. And I will say this. I will panic on that. I'm not sure he's ever going to be the free throw shooter that I want him to be, which is like 80, 85%. At this point, I don't have a whole lot of confidence that that's going to change, and that's a little frustrating.
Yeah, I think there's been enough of a sample size to start his career where he's just kind of that guy in the low 70s. And that does make me concerned when you start talking about a team playing close games, and it's like, who do you trust to hit free throws? Like
postseason games too.
Davion Mitchell.
Yeah.
Like these guys aren't good free throw shooters at this point. And that's to me a concern going forward. It has to get better. And like maybe we just adjust our expectations. No, okay, he's not going to be an 85% guy, but can he get to like 78? Like can he get to like the high 70s at least?
Yeah.
You're listening to D-Lo and KC along with Deuce and Mo here on ESPN 1320 KIFM West Sacramento, KRXQ HD2 Sacramento, and Odyssey Station, and driven by Lashers, Elk Grove Dodge. We welcome those on Twitch and YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, become a subscriber, hit the thumbs up as well. About 20 minutes ago, Deuce asked a question about sitting De'Aaron Fox, which no one answered.
Thank you, Damian.
And I'll be because Deuce and I good friends for decades. I'll be more than happy to answer your question. would that really help? Given Kenny and I just talked about this a second ago, because we were having a similar conversation about De'Aaron, and we had Jason Anderson earlier earlier talking about that rest isn't coming. You know what I mean? Like you play Friday. Like you guys are going to be working a whole lot here moving forward. Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Like that's your schedule coming up. And it's like, okay, so what does missing one game do? What does missing 2 games do? Unless we're talking about like missing a sustained period of time. And, I'm genuinely posing this as a question, not really as like a statement. Is it that serious?
Yeah. I mean, it may not be, right? Like that's the thing. And maybe it's just something he's playing through and it's not that big of a deal. That's why it's not even on the injury report. So I know we're all speculating here. It doesn't look right. It just, there's something off with him, and it's not, he's just missing shots. It's like, he's not that Fox we saw in that first game against Portland. Because the Portland game wasn't terrible or anything. Like he had a solid game.
He was super impressive that game.
Exactly. So, and then we saw him in the preseason do some great things. He looked great. He still had the speed and explosiveness. Some people are bringing up, oh man, the muscle. Like, I'm not worried about that. Honestly, I don't think that's the issue. I think he's a little nicked up, but how serious? I don't know.
You guys, I'm telling you, I truly believe it is, because each year, whenever he is nicked up, it is how we go about justifying things when he's not playing well or when he's not using his speed to the fullest. And whether it is an excuse or it really is the issue, as an athlete, Kenny, this, it's like you have to find ways around it. Like you don't get to just be, you have the resources to recover the way you need to recover, but it doesn't matter. The show goes on. You still have to play through it, unless it's something like a ligament tear or something that is much worse that actually needs healing and time to put together. But when it's like a contusion or, little banged up and you're just feeling bruised and whatever it is physically, you have to find ways to shoot through it, to drive through it, to play defense through it. It's just, it's just the way that you have to play the game, I feel like.
Nah, you're right. And I think that's why they're not on the injury report. That's why, as much as what Deuce says makes sense, like it's not the worst thing in the world to give him, the Pelicans game off. And that's 3 days where, he's not doing it makes sense. But I think, Mo, to your point, he's probably looking at it as like, it's just something I got to deal with. You know what I'm saying? I've got to be able to work around. I've got to be able to play with and play through. And that's kind of where he's at right now. And like we mentioned, it wasn't up to what I expect of him last night, but he didn't play terrible last night. He did do some good things out there, had some tough luck with some of those jump shots towards the end of the game. So, he was okay last night.
De'Aaron Fox may be off, but Harrison Barnes is on. I believe he's been retroactively named to the All-NBA 75 list. If there was any justice in the world, he would be. Where are you with Harrison right now? By the way, Morgan obviously brings good luck to Harrison Barnes. Every time she's on TV, something crazy happens. So
2-game winners.
2-game winners, you guys. Come on.
Let's keep this moving. That one, what was that first one? Was that Minnesota? Who was that against?
Cleveland. And that was when it was in an empty arena. Crazy. So there was, no cheering, nothing. And that was weird. That De'Aaron long half court pass, whatever, to Harrison for that turnaround 3. And it was a very, very similar shot, that turnaround 3 from the outside. It's like he must practice that all the time.
That was a deep 3 last night.
It was, right over Booker. And I keep referencing something that Kenny said a couple of weeks back. And I think it's so true. Harrison is this is probably the best he's ever been physically and mentally too. Like you were talking about a couple of weeks ago, the mental side kind of catching up to everything. Now he's been in the league for a long time. And I just love how he's being aggressive. Like, let it fly. Like, go for it. You're shooting well from 3. You're not going to shoot 50% all year, but let it come down to 40. I don't care. Come down to 38% from 3. But he's been awesome. Where would they be without him at this point?
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's been great.
This team can really depend on him to be that leader on the floor that shows through his play. We talk about Davion Mitchell's defense being contagious, and then there's certain energy guys, but Harrison Barnes, did you guys see after he made the shot, then he's on doing an interview with me and Matt Barnes, and he's just composed. Like he didn't just hit a game winner. He's just
no.
a pro.
That's not the impressive part. He's composed. He gets water dumped on him. He doesn't break stride, still answers your question, and doesn't even like crack a smile.
Like he could probably host the show better than me because he could honestly multitask way more things than I probably could in the damn show. So
yeah, I mean, it's wild how someone who like got dumped on a lot, right? The Warriors run didn't end great, especially with what happened in the finals. He goes to Dallas and just kind of there, right? I mean, he puts up some numbers. They're losing a ton of games. Comes to Sacramento to a team that was playing pretty well. And then he gets there. They go 9-16 down the stretch. And people go, oh, God, he's overpaid and all that. Now you're looking at his contract going, looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, he's a professional. He's a good dude. Off the court, active in the community, about the right things. And then he plays well. Like I'm glad they held on to him. I mean, like I said last week, I mean, I guess you could have Romeo Langford and like Boston's pick right now. I don't know if that would be better for some out there, but